Welcome to the ClassMon EYLF Trial version. When you first run the trial version, you will be brought to the login screen. In the email that we've sent out, we've given you a login name of trial0318 and the password trial, all in lowercase. Once you've typed these in, you can then select the trial group as your class or group. Then click login, and this will load in a set of test children so that we can take a look at some of the features of ClassMon. So firstly, I'll just talk a bit about the interface here. The blue buttons are your children. The coloured buttons are observations that have been recorded within the learning framework. Now you'll notice that we've used the Victorian version of the framework in this example. Rest assured that we've created versions for both Queensland Kindergarten and the National Early Years Learning Framework. ClassMon allows you to hold some basic contact information about each of your children, as well as basic health information. This information can then be fed to reports, which you can automatically generate if needed. So we'll take a quick look at some of those reports. They are called data reports. So by clicking on the reports menu, you'll see we have an option for data reports. Now this gives us a few options, and these are just basic data reports where data is being pulled from the database and presented in a template. So we have the headshots if you need to print photos and names of your children, name cards, student details with photos, contact lists with full contact information, and ID cards ready to be printed on badges. Let's now take a look at the learning reports. First one is the planner, and this produces a report for a specific date range that pulls all the planning notes that you've recorded during your observations. The next one is a progress report. This looks similar to a planner report, except that it's pulling your comments from your observations, so your anecdotal comments. And you'll notice each comment is listed under the learning element and learning outcome for which you identified when you made your observation. Each report that you produce in ClassMon can be printed to paper or produced as a PDF if you'd like to store or email the report. Next up, we have the observation overview. This is a simple report that looks at the selected child and shows you what observations you've made for that child and what dates those observations were recorded on. You'll notice the colours of the boxes will change as you add more observations. They'll remain red when you've made 0 or 1 observation for an element, and they'll turn orange when you've made 2, or green when you've made 3 or more. You can also produce a class observation overview. Here it is here, listing the children down the left-hand side and all the learning elements across the top, and dates of the observations that you've recorded for any children. As you can see, I've only made 2 sample observations for Adam in this example. The next learning report is the learning story report. This automatically takes all the learning stories, pictures and captions that you've added during your observations and automatically generates pages of learning stories ready to print or produce as PDFs. It's very easy to record an observation of a child. You just select the child so that their record expands. Select a learning outcome by clicking on one of the coloured buttons. I've clicked on Wellbeing, and that opens up the observation area for Wellbeing. We can choose any of the elements, so we'll choose Health and Physical. You can choose the date of your observation, and then you can write your comment into the comment box. And at any time, you can access the guide information by clicking the guide button and gaining access to that information. And you can copy and paste from there, or just write your new comment. Once you've written your comment, you hit the Save Next button, and that allows you to then choose any related learning outcomes by selecting their checkboxes. You then hit Save Next, and that will take you to the Work Samples tab. From here, you simply click the Browse button, browse to where your images are stored, find the image you'd like to add, and it will be listed in the Work Samples area. If you'd like to add a caption, click the Caption button and hit the Done button. If you'd like to preview the image, just hit the Preview button. To add a second work sample, repeat the process, click Browse. When you've added your work samples, click the Save Next button. And here you can add your learning story. Again, you've got access to all the guide information, where you can copy and paste into any of your comment fields. So this is where you write your learning story. Save Next brings you to your planning notes, where you can record planning notes. And that's how you record an observation. At any time, you can move between any of the tabs to access any of the information within your observation. Also, you don't need to fill in each of these tabs. If you only want to record a comment, or some work samples, or a learning story, or planning notes, that's all you need to do. But in this example, we filled each in. The other way to make an observation is by selecting children that you'd like to observe, if they've worked in a group, and then clicking the multiple observation down the bottom of the screen. By filling out this multiple observation form, you can apply a single observation to multiple children. You can also use the variable name in uppercase wherever you'd like to insert that child's name. ClassMon will automatically insert the children's name into their personalized comments. We'll leave that for you to have a go yourself. There's also a tutorial video on our YouTube channel. Let's now look at some of the multimedia aspects of ClassMon. We're going to take a look at the digital portfolio, but before that we'll just look at some of the elements in the folio. The first thing that goes into the portfolio is all the learning stories and photos and captions that you've added. They'll compile automatically into the digital portfolio. You can also add an introduction, which allows you to add 5 photos, a music track, and choose a background color. You can also add links. So for example, if a child's parent filmed the kinder concert and gave you that file, you can take that file, browse, add it into ClassMon, and then save it to multiple children's portfolios. And finally, you can also, by going into settings, turn on the photo show, and this will automatically compile all the children's photos from all the observations into their own personalized slideshow. So let's now take a look at what a digital portfolio looks like when you might choose to send it home to the parents. So the portfolio, which can be exported to a flash drive or a USB stick or burnt to a CD, can be distributed to parents. So as you can see, it's automatically compiled all your learning stories. So by clicking on the buttons, a parent can read the learning stories and view the associated work samples. So we've added a photo show, which automatically generates that photo show with all the photos and captions. And we also have the links button, which displays any links that we might have added for our children. And the parent can simply click the link to launch the associated file. So this allows you to produce a portfolio that can contain a lot of information, but more importantly, it takes just a few clicks to create the portfolio, allowing you more time to spend with the children.